Hey team, Coach Alexa here, coming back on track with my series of videos about walking. And I know how much some runners love a good stat in terms of a time. You know, often people send me inquiry forms with, oh, I want to do a marathon in such and such a time, a half marathon, 10k, 5k in such and such a time. So I thought I'd use this video to highlight some of the awesome times that have been achieved by walking. So let's look at race walking, first of all, events that used to be in part of the Olympics, the 50k race walk. I mean, not much of a spectator event, probably, compared to a lot of the other track and field items, but the world record time from the last time it was at the Olympics for the men's 50k was 3 hours, 32 minutes and 33 seconds. Now, that's a 50k. Now, I don't know about you, but I know the vast majority of runners would be really pleased with that as their marathon time running, let alone 50k walking. So it is impressive stuff. The women's 20k race walk world record is 1 hour, 23 minutes and 49 seconds. Again, a time, I know that that's slightly shorter than a half marathon distance, 1.1-ish kilometres shorter than a half marathon distance, but still really impressive. So yeah, you know, to put it in context about how quickly you can go, admittedly the race walking gait is quite an interesting one. I don't think you'd, you know, walk the dog in that sort of gait pattern, but it still is technically walking. You've got at least 1 foot on the ground at all times. You get disqualified if you ever have the feet in the air moment with both feet off the ground, which is what defines running. There's a 100-mile world record for walking set back in 2022, which was 10 hours, 51 minutes, 39 seconds. Again, pretty flipping impressive for walking. So just to say that you can cover the ground really well at a walk. I used to sign up for quite a lot of long distance walkers associations events, and particularly when I used to live in Surrey. There's a very active local group in Surrey that puts on a lot of challenge events, and quite a lot of them are longer distance. So there's 2 or 3 50-mile walking events a year which runners can turn up to. I used to sign up to them when I was in my 20s because I was skint, basically, and they're very cheap compared to running ultras. And if you could sign up to them as a runner, they just set you off an hour earlier. And you get proper full meals at the aid stations, you know, none of this electrolyte only rubbish. Yeah, so anyway, a side point. So I was humbled, to be honest, when I turned up to my first 50-mile walking event as a runner in my 20s, thinking, oh, there's a bit of walk in the park. All these old people hanging around at the start, old people in my mind, probably in their sort of 40s, 50s and upwards, and some much older people, and was blown away, to be honest, by the pace at which, and these were not professional people, they were just local people who were very good at walking, very well practiced at it, very good at navigation, because to be cheap, it was a self-navigation event. Yeah, and how, you know, they were, you know, easily beating my time at a walk at that stage, for some of them. And just, you know, just how fast good walkers are able to walk for some seriously long distances. As a side note, there's some interesting history, which I think is I'm correct in telling all the details of this story. I might not have got it all quite right. So the Long Distance Walkers Association, I believe, was the first organisation to set up a 100-mile event in the UK. I seem to remember a story from one of the gentlemen who set up Centurion Running, an ultra company, that they'd have to go to the Long Distance Walkers Association event in order to do a 100-mile event and get a recorded time, because at the time there were no other, or at least not many other 100-mile events. This is going back, you know, I don't know, decade or two. So yeah, those long distance walking events were kind of trailblazing for some of the real choice we now have in the UK of long distance ultra running events. Final one to say is that, you know, for something like, you know, picking it out of the air, something like the Land's End to John O'Groats, you know, you can cycle it, you can run it, but you can also walk it, and you can walk it in around 61 days at 20 miles a day. And I don't know about you, but my body these days finds walking 20 miles a day, slightly counterintuitively, because it does take me a bit longer, easier and from a recovery point of view, and easier on my, you know, slightly odd-shaped, had multiple surgeries, not due to running, I hasten to add, hip joints, than running 20 miles a day ever was. So yeah, it's an interesting one, isn't it? You know, we have this sort of thing that, you know, walking's slow, walking's boring, but actually when you look at some of the distances and some of the times, yeah, it's a bit of a different kettle of fish. I know I focused a little bit on times in this video. Normally, you know, I shy away from defining our achievement just in terms of the number on the stopwatch, but I just wanted, you know, for those people who are a bit more of a time-focused, time outcome-focused runner, to give a little bit of context about how quick walking can be, particularly when you're at the sharp end of race walking. Happy running and walking.